Hey, and welcome back. Today we're just gonna see how to do our save and load system. First, we need a certain value to save. So what we're gonna do here on our widget blueprint for our player HUD, we have our wave, enemy remains, and our score. We're gonna add another one for our best score. And just to give an example of how we can save some value, and we're going to see that number will remain the same until we get a better score. So we're just going to copy what we have here. So if we go here under the hierarchy, we have our horizontal box. So we can just take that and we can just duplicate that just to save some time. So it's going to appear right under. Right now, we're just going to change the name of that. Instead of score 1, we're going to write best score. All right. And same thing, we're going to take our text for score, and we're going to make sure that it's called best score as well, just for the naming, just to keep the same naming convention that we have been using. And here for the score number, it's going to be best score number, right? Best score number. We don't need 1, so we're all good with that. So now we have the same foundation that we have for score. It's following the same name convention, so that's exactly what we want. So now we're going to be able to start using this value here to put our best score. So every time we kill enemies, those 2 score will increase. The score will always be reset at each game, but the score here, the total score, will remain the same. And when we beat that score, it's going to change and save that value. So first, I'm going to click on the second score here. We're going to make sure that we just type best score as well, so we have an idea what this thing is going to do for us. So now we're going to click on 1 here. As we remember, we have the same here. There is nothing attached to it, so because we're not using that way of binding stuff, so we're going to use still even dispatcher as we did in the previous other tutorial. So we're going to go to graph here. And here we can see that we have every time that our wave number change or enemy or the score change, it's calling the event dispatcher. Okay, so from that, we can do the same here, and we're going to take all that and we're just going to kind of duplicate that. But before doing this, we're going to have to go to our GM wave base, and we're going to have to create our event dispatcher, which is going to be for our best score. So we're just going to compile and save for now because we did some change in the designer. So we're going to go to our content browser, and we're going to go get our game mode, and we're looking for our game mode wave base. So we're going to double click on this, and we need to create another event dispatcher here. So same as before, we're going to click on the little plus, and we're going to call that dispatcher. And this one is going to be best score. And now we have it. So we have access to this. So now if we go back to our player HUD, now we're going to be able to copy all that and kind of change a little bit the thing. So we're going to take our reference or GM here. So we have it here. So we can just drag and drop, and we're just going to do a get. So now from that, when we compile, make sure that both are compiled if you want to have access to your event dispatcher. From that, now we're going to be able to search for our dispatcher. And now we can look for our best score dispatcher. We're going to be same as this one. We're just going to bind that to an event, and it's going to be this one here. So we're going to select this, and we're just going to make sure that it's attached here. So from that here, we're just going to create a custom event. And this custom event, we're going to do the same thing as the other one. So it's going to be display best score to top corner. And now from that, we're going to be able to set our text and text block. So we have the text block for score number. Remember, we just changed for the name convention, so it's easier for us to follow along. So we have our text block best score number. We're going to take that and just drop it there. We're going to do a get. From that now, we can just drag that number and we can set text. And we have our set text here. So we can take this and we can connect it right here. So now we want to connect this here, but you can see here it's not working, right? So the reason why it's not working is because in our GM wave base, if we go back to it, remember for our score here, we put an input, which is our player score. We have to do the same thing for our dispatcher here. So we're going to click on the plus here, and the parameter is going to be best score. And we're going to make sure that we change that value for text, and we can save that. So now you can see that the score and here have the same thing. They're very similar other than for the name. So if we compile that, go back to our player HUD, now you see that we have our best score that is right here. So now we can connect those two together. We're going to do the same thing. We can take this box here and just copy with C and Control V to put it up here and just realign that. And now we're just going to change the score here. We're just going to put best score. So now every time our best score change, it's going to change the number. Okay, but to change the number, as you probably remember before, in our wave base here, we're going to have to trigger an action, something to say that we have to change our best score. Okay, but first, before going there and playing this, we're going to make sure that we have our saving system working for us. Okay, so we're going to go to our game instance that we created at the beginning. We should have a game instance. It's probably in the game mode here. My game instance. As I probably mentioned before, if not, I'm going to say it now. The game instance is something that runs always in the background, regardless of where you are in your game. Can only have one in your entire game. You can switch between them, but you only have one that can run at once. It's just like the game mode. You load a map. You have your game mode for this map, and you have another game mode for another map. This one, regardless of where you are in your game instance will be this one that is running always in the background. Okay, so it's a very, very efficient place to put your saving system because it's always running in the background. And depending on what you set up for your game, you can save at different places, different locations. So it will be a good place to put your saving system in there. The saving system here is just going to be the logic that we put to save our stuff in. So it's going to tell the game, hey, we have to save this and that, but it's not where we're going to keep all the value that we have to save. Okay, that's really important to do the difference. Okay, so to save our value, we have to create something that is called a save stat, kind of. So what we can do here, we can create it. Actually, we have to create it when I'm thinking about it, right? So here we can see that we have nothing for our save. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on core and just create a new folder. And I'm just going to call that save. So now in that new folder, I will create that blueprint that we need. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to just search for blueprint class. And I'm going to search for save. And you can see here we have save game is exactly what we want. So I'm going to click on this and we're going to select. And now we're going to have our save here. So blueprint, but I'm just going to rename all that to save stat. And we're going to jump right in it. So this blueprint will be the one that's going to keep all the value that we want to save in our game. For example, your best score for this tutorial, or if you have any weapons or items or any kind of value that you want to save, you're going to put that right here. So we have a variable here, so we have to create a variable. So we're just going to click on this, and I'm going to put the S, just telling us that this variable belongs to the save stat or save system, right? So I'm going to put best score. Okay, I'm going to make sure that the value is for an integer because we just want numbers, and we can save that. So now when we click on our best score here, we have all the detail here. We don't have to change anything for now, so we're going to leave that as it is. So we're going to make sure it's saved. Now, every time we save our best score, it's going to go and be old in this save stat. So we can go back to our my game instance, and now we're going to start all the logic for our save. So we're going to start by creating a custom event. And from there, we can call that custom event or load save. And just under, we're going to create later on our save system. So first, when we load the game, we need to know if a game exists. So does does save game exist? We're going to click on this, and now we have save slot name and the index we want to use. So we're not going to modify anything, but we're going to promote this to a variable, and it's going to be our slot name, but this will be for our saving. So if we compile and then we click on it, we can name it. So default value will be save1. So from this, you can, obviously have more than one save, but we're going to keep that very simple, leave it at one save. So from the return value, we're just going to search for branch so we can connect all that together. So from there, we're going to, if it's true that we have a load exists, we need to load the save. So it's very convenient because it's already there in Unreal for us, obviously. So we're going to load game from slot. There we go. And the slot that we want, well, is the one that we have here. So we can just take that and save it there. And if it's false, well, we just want a print string to tell us that basically no save exists. So for this case, it's for our best score. So we're just going to put no best score exists. Okay, we're going to go there. And if it's there, we have to get from the return value. We're going to promote that to a variable. We're going to change the name and call that as save game, which is just a reference to that loading return value that we have here. So now from that, we can cast to our save stats that we created, which is up here. We're going to cast to this because, as I said at the beginning, we want our value to be saved in this particular location. I'm going to take that. And now we're going to drag from here, from the save stat. Remember, we created a value called S best score. So we're just going to get that score, right? And here in that my game instance, we need our value for our best score. So we're going to take the variable, we're going to create a new variable, and it's going to be our best score. Make sure that we change that for an integer. And now when we compile, we can take that and put it right here. So now we have our best score. Okay. So from there, we can just plug it there. And we can, after that, just put a little print string. We can write something like best score loaded. So we're going to see that if it's all that working. So just to make sure we follow along, when we start the game, we're going to call this custom event. That's going to check for us if a game exists. It's going to the branch. If the game does not exist, it's going to print string saying that the score does not exist. If it does exist, it's going to load it from the location that we saved it. Do a reference. We're going to cast to that save stat right here. We're going to go get the value because the value will be stored in this variable here. And we're going to set that value that we have saved to the value that we have in our game, which is going to be this one right here. Okay. So it's going to save it right there. It's going to take that value, replace the one that would be 0 by default to the value that is saved, and it's going to print on the screen for us telling, hey, the score has been loaded. Okay. So from there, we're pretty good for the load system. So now we can take all that and just press C for a little comment. And here we're just going to put load our best score when the game start. Okay. So when I click here, just gonna put the little bubble on the top here. If you unclick it, obviously it's disappearing. So now we're gonna do the save system. The save system is just a little bit more complicated. Can be complicated to do save and load, just because there's a lot of things that you have to go in different blueprints, but just the way it is, and you get used to it after a little while, but still can be very confusing. So we're gonna create another custom event, and this one will be our save. So from there, right from the start, we're gonna start and does a game save exist, right? And we're going to take our slot name that we have here and plug it right here. And we're going to compile. So from there, we're going to search for a branch. And we have our branch here. And same thing, right? We're going to confirm that we have our load from slot right here. So we're going to drag there and we can search for load game from slot. So we're going to take this one here. Same thing again. We're going to take this, put it right there. And like so. So we're going to keep going. We're going to take the reference that we have already, right? And just plug it right here. And once again, we're going to cast to our save. So cast to our save stats that we created earlier, which is this one here. And from the save stat, we want to get our value for our best score. But this time we're going to set that best score. And we want to set the best score to what? Well, our best score, which is right here. I'm going to take that best score, do a get, and put it right there. Okay. From there, we are going to drag from that and just save game. I'm going to take save game to slot. And the name here, well, will be this one here. Right? And the save that we want, well, we want the one right here. So we can put it right there, do a reroute node. And we can plug that right there and just double click on it on the line here, so you can do something that is a little bit more fancy and easier to read. And from there, we're going to do another print string. Print string. And here we can just put game saved. Okay. And on the false here, if there is no game that exists, we want to create one. So we're going to drag from it and we're going to do create our save game right here. So we have it right here. We're going to take that. And we want to put something here. Well, we want this right here. So if we go down, we have it right there, or save stats. We're going to select this, and same as before, we're going to take our value here and just put it right there. Well, actually, not this value, but the one for the save game. I think I have two here. Just want to confirm that I'm not misspelling anything. So yeah, so we can create promoter variable, and we can change the name for as save game. It's going to probably say that, hey, you already have it here. For X reason, I could not take this one, but I'm pretty sure this one I have to take. So let's try that again. There we go. Perfect. I just had to do it the other way around. Perfect. So we're going to cast once again to our stats or save stat. And now we're going to take our best score, but that the one, not this one, that one, the one from inside here. We want this one here. So we can just copy that and just put it down here. We're going to plug this one right here and this right there. And same thing, we're going to move there so we can copy this on the top here, put it down here. and right here. So now same thing, we have to connect this right down here. So you can connect it like this, double click, and just put some reroute node. There we go, perfect. And we keep moving, and same thing, we can take a pre-string, put it right there. But this time, instead of saying game save, it's going to be game slot created. Okay, so now we can take all that. We do C4 comment. I'm going to zoom to it so we can see exactly what we're writing there. So we're going to put a little comment like false. We're going to create game save if does not exist. If true, it's going to load game save and save the new information to the slot name. Make sure I write it correctly. Oops. To the slot name. Here we go. Okay, so we're gonna go through it just to make sure that we have a little idea what it's doing. So when we're gonna call this function in our game to save, it's gonna do like the load here that we have here. We're gonna make sure that if we have a game that exists or not. So if it does exist, well, we want to load this save. So here we have the same thing as our load on the top here. It's very, very similar. Okay. And we're saving that to our game slot. If that does not exist, well, we are creating our save, which is the one here that we want to have created. We're just doing a reference to it. We're casting to this right here. We take the value from inside, which is this one here. Right? And we're setting that value to the score that we have in our game. So if we have 100, this one would have 100 because we're currently playing, and it's going to set the S best score, which is the one that we want to save. It's going to take that 100 and put it right in this value. We're going to save that to our slot, and we're just going to print that to the screen to make sure it's working. Okay, so every value that you want to save or load need to be here. So if you have more, for example, we're at wave, I don't know, 10, and you want to save your game and start from there later, just for example, you need that wave value right between here. So you can put all the value you need right there and just keep going. Okay, so you can have a lot of value, obviously, if you have a lot of things that you want to save. So now I think we're good for that. What we're going to do now, we're going to go to our wave-based system that we created earlier, and we want to add everything we need to save. Okay, so we're going to start from the top. So when we create our game, it's going to call that wave base, which is our main game, our main, I will say, game mode that we use for the game that we're using right now, or whatever you want to do, right? As you see here, we already kept a little spot for our load save. Very easy here. So what we are going to do, we have my game instance that is right here. Now we should be able to drag from that and do load, and we want to load our save and put that right here. Okay, so when we have that loaded, we're all good. So we're just going to go down a little bit. So when we start the game, right, it's going to create all that for us. But we also want custom event right here that will basically, how I can say that, every time our score change, we want to save it. Right, you could save it at the end, but you want something to be able to trigger a save. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to call a custom event, and I'm just going to call that dispatchers. And we're going to just put a little delay to it. Here we go. And I'll put like 0.2, 0.1, it's fine. Just going to put that a little bit bigger. And I want to call our best score. All right, so we can just drag from that and we can do call our dispatcher. We want to call this one here. And the best score that we want, well, it's going to be, we're going to have to do a little function. So if you don't want to, just keep that a little bit tidy and a little bit better looking, so we can drag from here and we're going to have to create a variable like we did here a little bit, something similar to this. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go on function here. Just click plus and we're going to do get player best score. Oh, actually, yeah, we can leave it as like this. That's pretty good. We're going to take the reference to our the game instance. So do we have it here? Yes, we have my game instance reference. So we're just going to take that, drag it right there. From that, we want to get our best score. So we have it here. So we're going to take that, which is this one right here. Okay. And from there, we're just going to drag and do a return node. And the return node here, when we click on it, we can put an output. We're going to click on that. It's going to be a text, and we can just call that result. And from there now, we can drag from it and do a format text that we have right there. And now we want to do a little bit something similar that we did here. Okay, so we can just copy that and put it right there and just change that to best score, which is going to give us this new pin to connect that right there. And we can compile. So if we go back, now we should have that new function for us here, and we can plug it right there. But as you see, we have it like this, and we don't want that. We want that to be as pretty as we can. So we're just going to remove that, go back to our best score, and click on the top here. Right, so we see our best score value, but we want to click right here so we have access to different things, and we want to click on pair and just save it. So now if we go back, as we've seen many times before, when we plug it, now we have it like this. So just look just a little bit better. Okay, we're going to go back to our event graph, and from there now we're going to take our game instance once more, which is right here. I'm going to drag from it and search for our save and just plug it right there. There we go. So now we need to do a little more. I know that's kind of getting confusing because there's a lot. We're going to create a new pin for our sequence. And we're just going to move that here a little bit further down. And when we drag from that, now we can call that custom event that we just created. And right here. Okay, so we're loading our save. And here we take our dispatcher when we load it and we are saving it. Okay, so the way why I did that is that when we start, it's going to load it, but nothing is going to tell that UI here to change the number here. So we have to tell the game, you know, if I have 100 already saved, I want you to show me 100 right away. So it's why I did that little custom event here. So we can have that number display in the corner here. Okay, so we're going to go back to our GM mode here. So we're going to go down. We're going to extend this just to make it pretty. Okay, so we go down and we go down and we go down. Actually, I'm going down on my notes here, not on this one here. So we're just going to go down here and it's going to be around apply score right here. Perfect. We have apply score. So what we're going to do we're calling our score here. So we're going to take that, right? And we're going to drag from it, and I'm going to do a branch. From this branch, we're going to take our score that we have here. So the score that we currently have, so if we have 50 points, we're going to have 50 points in this value here. So we're going to take this, and we're going to just drag from it, and we're going to search for greater or equal, okay? And we're going to connect that right here. We want to compare that to the value that is right here, the best score that we already have here. So we're going to take the reference to our game instance that has the save system in it. We're going to do a get, and we're going to search for that best score, which is right here. And we're going to put it right there. Okay, so we take our score, and if our score is greater than the one that is in the game instance, we're going to change the best score. So we're going to take our value for best score that we should have in the game instance right here. So we're going to drag from it and search for our best score. This time we're going to do a set and put it right there. We want to set it to what? We want to set it to the score here. So we're going to take our score and put it right here. Right? We're going to call our dispatcher that we have here. So this one here. We're going to drag and call our dispatcher for best score. And we want the best score. So we already did the function earlier. So we're going to take that and put it right here. Right? And we're going to make sure that we're saving that. So we can take my game instance. And I'm going to take our save that we already have set up and save it right there. Okay. This new code, we're just going to take everything, press C, and we're going to call that if our best score is higher, we'll set it and save it. Okay. So this score will save as we play, not just at the end of the game. We could put it at the end of the game, but I just decided to save it all the time. So from there, I think it should be pretty good. Now that we have that, I think we should be able to try that. Hopefully I did not forget anything. So let's see when I do new game. You can see in the comment we had no game created, so it did show create new game. Okay, so we're gonna do new again. You see game saved this time instead of creating. So we're just gonna shoot this. Sorry for the sound, it's maybe a little bit loud. We have 20, so we're just gonna get killed. Right, and when you do new game, technically your score should be 0, and the best score should be 20. So let's do new game. You can see that my best score is 20. So you can see it's working good now. So what we're gonna do, we're going to just quit and play again and do a new game. We should have still 20, which is right there. We're gonna take the gun, kill a little bit of enemy. You see still 20 because I did not go over 15. And you can see now the best score is increasing. And now I'm done, so I'm at 40 points. This is gonna finish the game because we don't have a next level. And if I play again, you see that our best score is showing 40. So you can see that the saving and load work perfect. But now you're probably asking, well, you know, if I have a score that is really high and I just want to reset it. Well, we can do that as well. As you probably remember from our main menu. So we're going to go to our main menu. So we're going to go to our UI, so core UI, and I'm going to take our main menu. We have in the main menu, if we open it, we have daily best score. So when we press on this, it's bringing us to the page, not the page, but I misspeak today. it's bringing us to the delete best score. So let's see if we already did that back in the day. Arrest scheme, you see, we have it here, the widget blueprint arrest prompt. So we already have that set up because we already did that. So that's pretty good. So what we're going to do, we're just going to go and get what we need. So we're going to go to the UI, main menu, and we're going to go to the prompt here. So we have here delete and don't delete. So we're going to go to the graph, and when we press, it's not what we want. There we go. We have the delete here. We want to delete the save one. It's what we put earlier, as you probably remember from the game instance here. Save one need to be reading the same way. So it's save one like this in lowercase. We have the same thing right here. So when we're going to click on that, it's going to delete the save, and it's going to create our main menu, add it to the viewport, and it's going to remove this widget blueprint, and it's going to clear that from our timer and just create a new one here. Okay, so if we try that, it should erase basically our score that we did earlier. So we already set up all that before. I thought we didn't do it, but it's already done. That's fantastic. So if you go back to main menu and do play, we're going to do new game. Now we have 40 here. We don't want 40. We want to reset that number. So we're going to do play. We're going to go to delete our score. As you can see here, if I don't want to delete it, I'm going to click on it, new game. And you see we have 40. If we do that once more, delete, and now we say, yes, I want to delete my game. It should be delete, and now we see our best score is back to 0. So you can see that the score is working pretty good. So we can start again. We get 10 points here. We die, we restart, we have 10 points. So we can see that our saving and load system is working for our best score. That was pretty much what I wanted to show you for this tutorial for the save and load system. Obviously, that's maybe looking complicated, so you can just review the video again just to make it more clear. But just keep in mind, you have a load system and a save system, and everything is handled by my game instance because this always run in the background, and the value that you want to save or keep in this blueprint. Okay, so you can have a lot of value here if you want to save a lot right here. And every time you add a new value, you need to make sure that you modify those little location to add the new value that you want to put. Okay, so that's pretty much what it is. And one more thing, just in case it's not working for you, it's maybe because you're not using the game instance right here. So what we can do, we can go to Edit and go to our project setting. And now from here, we should be able to search for the instance and make sure on the game instance, we have selected the one that we created and not the default one. Okay, that's really important. Otherwise, the game will use this one, but you have no code in this one. Okay, as I said, you can only use one at the time, which is right there. So just make sure you have that selected in case it was not done, but I'm pretty sure we already did that in another video way before the save system. So we're all good with that. So I will leave you on that, and we'll see what we can do for the next video.
Hey, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to see how to do the flashlight for our character. So first we're gonna go to our core here. We're gonna expand and we're going to create our flashlight here. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna create a new folder and I'm just gonna put accessories or something around those lines. So right click, do a new folder, and I'm just gonna call that accessories, and I'm going to put the flashlight inside that. So what we're going to do, instead of adding all the information of flashlight to the character itself, we're gonna add a component. So that way, technically having a component or another actor, it means that we're gonna be able to pick it up from the ground or always have it attached to our character right from the start. So you're going to be able to decide which one you will like for example, if you create a map and you have nighttime, but the character didn't find a flashlight yet, you could use the pick up from the ground like we do with the weapon, or you can also have it, the character always have it as well. Okay, so we're gonna do that. So we're gonna right click here in the content browser. We're going to search for a blueprint class, and I'm gonna take an actor. From this actor, we're gonna call that BP underscore flashlight, and we're gonna open it. So when we're inside our flashlight here, we are going to add some stuff here. Okay, so first we're gonna select the flashlight, make sure we're selected, which should be by default. So we're gonna add a static mesh. So just search for a static mesh, and there we go. So we're gonna add a static mesh. I'm gonna call that SM for static mesh and underscore. I'm gonna remove static mesh, and I'm just gonna put flashlight. From the flashlight here, we're gonna add a collision box. So just right click. You can do event here. You can add a collision box. I think we can add a collision box here. Oh no, it's for something else. Sorry. Never mind. Forget about that. We're just gonna right click here by having the flashlight selected. We're going to select add and just search for collision box. And we're going to select this one here. With that, now we're going to make sure we have the flashlight selected again, and we're going to add, and I'm going to search for spotlight, and I'm going to take the spotlight. There you go. So you should have something that look like this. So we're going to go on the flashlight first, and here technically if you had a static mesh here in your detail panel, like you already have something, you could add it right here. As I don't have anything, I don't really care. We're just going to put it like this. And later on, we could always put something, but for now, I just want the flashlight to work. The aesthetic of the game is just something that we can look at it later. Okay, so here we have our flashlight here. We have the size and all that. So we're not going to play in any of the setting here. Okay, so we're going to leave it as is. We're going to go to our spotlight. So now we're going to adjust our spotlight. So here in the detail panel, we have some adjustment that we can do for our light. So if you look here, there's kind of a cone, and that's the exterior cone that we're using for our light. But if you want your flashlight, for an example, to be more concentrated in the middle and less on the side, you can play with those values. So it's exactly what we're going to do here. So here we have the intensity of the light. So if you want your light in your game to be very strong or very sudden, you can select one of those number here and just play with that. Okay, so we don't see it from default here because we are not in the game, but the intensity is how strong your light is going to be. And here you can change the color for your lights. If you want another color, you can select that as well. So we have the attenuation radius here. So we're going to play with that. We have 1,000 here. So I will put 2,000. Okay, so you can see now that my flashlight will be able to emit more light further. Okay, so you play with that number and you can see like if you want it close or far, you can play with that. Okay, so I will leave it at 2,000 because I think 2,000 it's good enough. And here you have the inner cone. It's exactly what I was speaking a little bit ago. You can see here, if you want the concentration of your flashlight to be bigger or smaller, you play with this number here, okay? So in my project, I put 21 because I believe it was good enough. And the other cone is that one here. So obviously we can play with that and how big you want it to. So for my project, I put 40. So I'm going to leave it as 40. And the rest is all the same. So we're not going to play with that. So we're all good. Now we're going to go to the collision box. In the collision box, we're just going to confirm that everything is good. So we have our collision box if we zoom here. So if you wanted that box to be bigger, you can play with those numbers here. So it's easier to pick up from the ground or not, depend on what you're looking to do, okay? So now we're going to compile and we're going to go and do some codes here. I'm going to go to the event graph. And here in the event graph, we're going to do few things, okay? So We're not going to use any of even begin play or actor begin play overlap or even text, so we can just remove all of that. Here, we're interested to create a custom event as usual. So we're going to right click and search for custom event. If I know how to write as usual, custom event, and this custom event will be called flashlight. And this flashlight will contain the code that we need to activate and deactivate that device. So from this, we're going to drag. I'm going to search for something called a flip-flop. Okay, I believe we already used that before, but the flip-flop, if you press one key, it's going to activate, and if you press again, it's going to deactivate. Well, in that case, because the flashlight will be on and off, so it's going to be the case for that, but it could be for anything else, right? But for this case, A will be activate the flashlight, and B will be deactivate the flashlight. So from there, we're going to drag, and I'm going to put play sound. Okay, I'm going to select sound 2D because I'm not too worried about that. And I'm going to copy and do the same for the bottom. And here, obviously, you can decide what sound you want your flashlight to be. So, you know, I had the sound in my other project that when you click, you hear a real flashlight in and on and off. But we use the basic project here, so we don't have a lot of sound. So you can select what you like. So let's see what we could use. So you see, turn the flashlight. I'm going to use that. I'm not too picky. And for the out, well, let's see if we cannot use something a little bit better. Or this, for example, right? Just so we can hear that it's working properly. Okay, obviously we can change that sound later. And here I'm going to put a delay. This delay, it's depend of your sound. So what I mean here is that if you have your sound for your flashlight that, for example, do a click and you want the light to turn on after the click, you're going to put the time of your sound here. So your sound's going to play. It's going to wait that amount of time. So if it's 1 second to play your sound, we're going to put 1 second here and the flashlight will turn on after. It's really up to you what you want to put here. Okay, I will leave that. You decide. So from there, we're going to take our spotlight. So the spotlight is our flashlight, right? So we're going to drag our spotlight and put it right here. So now we have access to all the information inside our spotlight. So what we want to do is trigger the visibility of that flashlight. So we're going to search for visibility. Okay. And we're going to plug this right there. So we're going to repeat the same process for below and make sure that we connect everything as such. Okay. So here we're going to make sure that we check this box here. So when we are going to click, it's going to turn the visibility of our spotlight. And when I'm going to click again, it's going to turn it off. Okay. So we're going to go from there and I'm just going to put on the side here. We're just going to search for print string so we can see at least that it's activated and deactivated. So I'm going to write flashlight on and I'm going to repeat that same node down here. And this time I'm just going to put off. There we go. So now we have our code. So we're going to go back to our spotlight just to confirm that by default, the visibility is not on. Visibility. So here in the detail panel, if we search for visibility, you can see by default, it's going to be on. But we don't want it on by default. We want the player to activate that flashlight by default, right? Or you could do reverse as well. You could have this right there. So by default, it's going to be off. When the player clicks, it's going to turn it off and turn it on, depending on what you're using here. But for this example, by default, the visibility will be off. It's mean that we're going to have to press a key on our keyboard or controller to activate this flashlight. So we're going to compile that. And now we have our code for flashlight. So I'm going to look up here and I'm just going to do the attach component to component, which is like the weapon. If we walk over, we can pick up that flashlight. So we can take our box here, right? If we right click here, now we have event here. Okay, so we're going to search for the overlap. Okay, so the overlap is when the actor will go over, is going to overlap this. Okay, so we can take our flashlight here, put it down here, and here we can attach our actor to component, right? And like this. So we have a parent, so it's our flashlight. We're good. We have a socket name here. So if we want it, for example, in our player, we will put the name of the socket that we could create. Is going to be here. However, I'm not going to use that system, so I'm not going to do that to not confuse anybody. But I'm just going to show you the code. So if you wanted to do that, at least you're going to have an idea what to do. Okay. And so you do a socket on your player, and when you walk over here, you can always, cast your player here and attach this node here with the socket name, and you'll be able to pick it up from the ground. But as I'm not doing this, I'm not going to really go in detail with that, but I just wanted to show you that it is possible to pick up the flashlight from the ground instead of having the flashlight on us directly. So we're going to go to our flashlight here, and we're just going to do C for comment. So here I'm just going to write the following comment here. So it's attach the flashlight to the weapon that the character used. So that's pretty much what it's doing, right? It's going to be on and off, but we don't really attach it because it's already there. So technically I shall not name it like this. So I should just say that it's turned on and off the flashlight. So turn on and off the flashlight. There we go. So I'm going to leave it as is. So because it's not really attaching it, it's going to be attached to our character later by default, but it's not walking on it to attach it. So now we're going to go to our show bubble, make sure that we can see that from further out. So our code here should be all good. So we're going to try that shortly. I'm going to go back to our main screen here. I'm going to go get our player. I'm going to open the player. And here in the player is where we're going to get our flashlight. So we can always create an action here for flashlight, any key you want, but we're going to do that correctly. So we're going to go to our main here. We're going to go to control mapping. And here we're going to create a new mapping to use our flashlight. Okay. So in our control mapping, we're just going to right click here and go to input. And our input, we're going to select a new action. And it's going to be called IA underscore activate underscore flashlight. We're going to open it just to make sure that it's all good inside. The description will be flashlight. And we're going to look at the setting here. By default, it will be decent like this. So we're not going to touch anything else. So we can obviously just save it and exit. So now we have our control mapping. Now it's important to put that mapping, our action in the control mapping. So we're going to open the control mapping. In the control mapping here, we're going to add a new one. So by clicking on the plus, and we're going to go select our flashlight, which is the one here, the first on the top, at least should be. And now we have to select the key that we want to use our flashlight. By default, I'm going to put F for the keyboard. So you can search for F or click on the little keyboard here and click F. So it's going to activate our flashlight when we press that key. So now we're going to add a trigger. So we're going to add trigger. The trigger we want to add is going to be press. And it should be all set for the rest. So we're not going to do anything else with that. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, okay, perfect. So we have nothing else to do here. So when we press F, it's going to activate our flashlight. Now the control is all done for the flashlight. So we can activate and deactivate that flashlight. So now we can go to our player controller. So we have our control here. So right under here, I'm going to search for that action. So I'm going to search for IA underscore flashlight. Oh, it's activate flashlight. I believe I put activate flashlight. So I'm going to use the first one right here. So when we trigger that, something's going to happen. So search, we're going to look for branch. And we're going to confirm that our player is not dead, right? Because if the player is dead, we don't want the player to be able to activate and deactivate the flashlight. Or at least it's what I want, but you can always decide what you want to do, okay? From false here, we need to find a way to access the flashlight that we have here in that blueprint, okay? So there's something very convenient here that we can search for. We're going to click on our player. If I can find my mouse here. Okay, so click on our player. And we're going to add here. And I'm going to search for child. Okay, we're going to search for child actor. As we remember, we created an actor for flashlight. So now that's exactly what we're going to use. So we're going to just name that flashlight. Now we have our flashlight here. We're just going to compile. So we have the flashlight. You can see there's a child. It's called a child, but I believe it should be called just an actor or something like this, but no big deal. So we have the flashlight here and we have our child actor right here. Okay. So it's exactly where we're going to select the flashlight we created. So we're going to click here and search for that blueprint flashlight. So it should be here somewhere. So I'm just going to search for flash. Here we go. We have our flashlight. So now the flashlight will be automatically attached to our character. Now we just have to decide where we want to put that flashlight to our character. Okay. But now that we have it, we can continue that little code here. We're going to create a reference to our flashlight. So we have a flashlight here, but in our player, we will need a reference to our flashlight. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our event begin play. And here, we're going to drag and search for get actor. We're going to take an actor from class. So from that actor from class, we're going to search for our flashlight. We're going to create a reference. So by dragging here, just extend promotion or not promotion, but promote to a variable. I'm going to call that as flashlight. I'm going to make sure that it's not in the default. So I'm going to put that as reference. So I'm going to put ref. And it's going to go under that folder right here. And we'll do the same thing later for our laser. Okay, but for now, we're just going to focus our energy on the flashlight. So now if we go back to our action for flashlight down here, instead of taking the child directly from there, we're going to take the reference for our flashlight. So now from that, we should get access to this. Okay. So now we have access to flashlight. We just want to decide in which one we want to plug it. So we're going to do in false. Okay. So the reason why I'm putting in false is that if the player is dead, I don't want to be able to activate or deactivate this flashlight. Okay. So now we're going to the viewport. I'm going to compile first, viewport. And here we have the child. So you can see that we can just move it a little bit. Okay. And you adjust where you want that flashlight to be. Okay. And the angle that you want that flashlight to be as well. In my notes here, I decided to put the location at 14 here. So a little bit in the back. And I put 74 here. So just the height of it, right? You put it wherever you want, really, right? So where it's going to work well for you. And I put a little -10 for the angle. So you can see now it's facing the good direction. It's up the character here and facing in a little angle here. Obviously, you can decide where you would like to put. So I just put it there so I have a better view when I play the game on the flashlight. Okay. And now we're going to compile. So technically, everything should work, you should be able to activate and deactivate that flashlight. So we're gonna try that now, and let's see if everything worked correctly for us. So we're gonna start a game, and we're gonna go to new game. And now technically I should be able to click F. Now we have the flashlight here. Click F again. No more flashlight. Okay. So you can see that the flashlight is turning on. You can see it in the top corner. And now, but you can see that now the flashlight is turning on and off. So that's pretty good. So let's see. I can just shoot those enemies. Okay, I'm probably shooting too high up for the enemy, but the flashlight is working as intended, so that's perfect. So we're gonna go back to our player here just to see why our weapon is not working. So let's see if we have something why the weapon is not shooting for us. Quite shooting, but it's probably shooting too high from the enemy. So let's see if we can just put that down. It was just because of that. I already doubt this would be that, but hey, we never know, right? So let's take it. Yeah, it seems that it's going to, oh, it's maybe the color I'm gonna fix that later. You might not have that issue. I might have touched something by mistake. So we're gonna look at this later, but the flashlight is working for us, so on and off. So in the next video, we're going to see how to do the laser. So it's just gonna help us aiming at the enemy. So I'll catch you on the next one. Hey, welcome back everyone. Today we're going to create our laser. So first we're gonna go to accessory folder, right click, and we're gonna use a Niagara system. We're gonna take the new system from select emitters. We're gonna click next, and we're gonna have few template here already in inside the project. So we're gonna select the dynamic beam, click on the little green plus, and we're gonna do finish. We're gonna call that ns underscore laser pointer, and we're gonna open it. So here we're in the laser pointer, we can see that we have a blue line here. So we're gonna change those settings so it's look more similar to a laser. Okay. So first we're going to go to the emitter update right here. And we're gonna change a few settings here. So the loop duration will be changed for 0.03, and you're gonna see in the display that now it's changing. So it's a steady light. So it's exactly what we want. It's not going in and out. So that's perfect. And we have here after that, we're gonna go to the beam setup here, and we're gonna change a few settings here. So we don't want the beam hand here, so we're just gonna click here on that little arrow and just use for user. And we're gonna put user. So it's mean that we're gonna be able to select a few parameter later if we need to. So we're gonna go down here. We're gonna go to this pound burst, and here we're gonna change a few things. So we don't need 100 count. So I believe it's the particles that are displayed on the screen. We don't need 100. So I'm just gonna put 3 for this example. It should be good enough. But obviously you can put the number you want. So if you see here, if I put more, you can see that the light is really like steady. But when I'm gonna put 3, look where my mouse is right now. It's gonna cut off a little bit here. So you see it's kind of, you can see it, maybe it's not showing up too well, but you can play with that value if you want your laser to look a little bit better. But I'm not really concerned because it's gonna be on the top down. So I'm not very concerned about that. So we're gonna go to our particle spawn now. We're gonna change our lifetime, so we don't want each particle to stay in game for 3 seconds. We're gonna change that for 0.3 seconds, which will be more than enough. And we're gonna go to our beam width. So here we're gonna change a few things as well. So if you click here on the beam width on the top here, you can reset it. Okay, we're gonna put 3 for the length of it. So you can see that when we change the value, you see if I put a big value, it's a big rectangle. So I'm just going to put 3. And now we're going to have something that look more like a laser. Okay. So now we're going to go all the way down here. We can go to color, I mean, and we can select the color that we want. So I want 0 blue. I want 0 green, but I want a lot of red. So now we have a red laser. So obviously you can change the color that we want. I think that's good enough. We have a red line. Just look like a laser a little bit. Obviously it can be way better in glowing and all that. But we just want something that will help the player to laze. So I think I'm going to use that. And if there's anything, we can always change it later. But I think for now, that would be good enough. So we're going to compile this and we're going to save it. So now we're going to go back to our main menu here screen, and we're going to go to the next part of it. So now we're going to create the laser, a little bit what we did with the flashlight. So we're going to right click and we're going to create a new blueprint class. We're going to select the actor. Same thing as before. It's going to be BP, and I'm going to call that laser pointer. And I'm going to open it. So here we're going to add a few things as well. I'm going to not right click, but we're going to click on add. We're going to search for a static mesh. And I'm going to select a static mesh. We're going to name that SM for static mesh. And we're going to put laser pointer. From there now, we're going to add a box collision. So we're going to select the laser pointer at the top, search for box collision, and we're going to put the box collision here, okay? So now we have a laser pointer, so we're going to click on the static mesh. We can just take it and just drag it on it, and now we're all set. And from there now, we're going to add our Niagara system. So we're going to make sure that our laser pointer is selected. And we're going to search for our particle system here. I'm going to leave the name as, and we're going to compile. So now I'm going to select this, and I'm going to select the one that we just created. You see the laser pointer right here. So by clicking on the default, the detail panel here, we can select the one we created. And now we can see that we have our laser. Not very super great, but at least we have something for now. Obviously, details and all that can be modified later, but at least we want something functional for now. So we have this, so we're all set and good to go. We're going to go to our event graph. So right here, we're going to click. We're going to remove. Actually, we're just going to remove this one and keep those two here. So on event begin play, we're going to do a sequence. Just hold S on your keyboard. And now we're going to take our Niagara system here, drag it, which is going to give us access to few settings inside that particle system. And we're going to search for set visibility as we did with the flashlight. And we're going to put it right there. Okay. So now we're going to click on the Niagara here, and we're going to make sure that the visibility is on by default. So let's search for visibility. It's on by default. That's good. So when it's going to start, it's going to make it off by default. Okay. And when we press, we're going to be able to activate the laser. Okay. So from now, the event tick here, what we're going to do, we're going to search for a branch. So let's search for branch here. And I'm going to create a variable. So just click variable, and it's going to be called align trace activated. And I'm going to close it. I'm going to take that and just put it to the condition right here. Okay. And now we're going to go down here. There's a lot to do in the laser, so don't get too confused here. So the next step will be our laser pointer itself. So we're going to do a custom event. I'm just going to call that laser pointer. We're going to use a flip-flop like we did before for the flashlight. When we press 1, it's going to turn it on. When we press again, it's going to turn it off. We're going to take our Niagara system once again. We're going to search for set visibility. Going to plug that to A. We're going to repeat the same process for B. And make sure that we plug everything as such. Okay. The first one will have the box check for new visibility. We're going to move here on the side. We're going to just put a print string. And we're going to put laser on. I'm going to duplicate this, put it on the bottom here, and we're just going to put laser off. Okay. And here we're going to take our Boolean that we did. When it's activated, we're going to set on. And when it's deactivated, we're going to put nothing in the box. Okay. So as before, like the flashlight, we press once, set the visibility to on, and press again, set the visibility to off. Okay. I'm going to go all the way down here. Now we have to do a little bit more for the laser. So we're going to search for a custom event that we're going to create first. So search for custom event. And we're going to call that our line trace. And here we're going to do a little bit more. We're going to take our Niagara system once more. We're going to set the vector parameter. So it should be here somewhere. Just going to type it full. Here we go. Perfect. This here, I'm going to plug it right there. Okay. So we're going to search for this. Not this, but the parameter name. We're going to put beam n, and we should be all set. So we're going to click on parameter here. We're just going to split the structure so we have access to the value inside. We're going to take our static mesh here. I'm going to drag from that. We're going to get the world location. Okay. And we're going to get our forward vector as well. Get forward vector. Okay. And here we're going to create another variable. I'm going to call that laser and line trace max distance. We're going to make sure that this is a float, and we're going to compile. So when we click on it now, we should have access to default value. Now it's 0. So we're going to put a number there. So the number that we're going to put 500. I'm going to take that, put it right here in the middle. And we're going to plug this one right to our X. Okay. I'm move that a little bit like this so it's easier to read. We're going to take that line trace, the variable we just created, and we're going to search for multiplication. We're going to multiply that not like this. We're going to remove that. So by Alt, we can remove it. We're going to plug it like this. And we should be all set for that. Okay. So we're going to move here a little bit on the side. From this here, we're going to search for add. We're going to take the operation. Then we're going to plug it right on the bottom here. And we're going to put that to the location for the world location here. Okay. Take from the vector parameter, we're going to search for line trace. We're going to take the one by channel. And we're going to take the plus here, put it to the end and the start to our world location right here. I'm going to right click or double click just to do a reroute node. So it's look a little bit better. And we should be all set. Okay. We're going to move on the side here. You can select the channel that you want to have. So we're just going to leave it as default. And here we're going to drag and we're going to just search for branch. I'm just going to put it right here. Okay. And here the return value, we're just gonna, sorry, the out it here, we're just gonna click on it and just split the structure. So it give us access to all those value here, and that should be all good. Or you could even, if we backtrack, you could even just drag from that and just do break the it result. If you prefer it that way, it's really the way that you like. It's not really a big deal. I'm gonna plug the condition right here. Okay, we might come back here later. So if you want your laser, for example, to, when it's touch an object, to not go through the object, you could do that here and do other things. Okay, but for now, that will be good for that. So what we're going to do now, we're gonna select that, press C, and put a comment in that box. The comment that we're going to put there, it's gonna create the line trace, and it's gonna set the laser distance with the line trace distance. Okay, so it's what that code is really doing. We go there when we activate the line trace. We use our Niagara system. We get the forward vector and the location to make sure it's looking forward. We add everything together, and we have a line trace here that we can later use for other things. Okay, so this one here, we have a laser pointer. We're going to do a comment on that as well. And this will be, it's set our Niagara particle visibility or not when we press. In that case, I will put the letter J, and in the third person character. Okay, so when we press 1, visibility on. When we press again, visibility off. Okay, we have the event tick here, so we're gonna just put a little comment on that, and it will be only call the line trace when it's activated. Okay, and now we're gonna extend that a little bit, and now the line trace that we created, we're gonna be able to search for it. So line trace, and now we have it right here. Okay, so the event tick will trigger all the time. We have a boolean here. Is it the line trace activated, yes or no? If it is, it's gonna go to the line trace. If it's not going to do the code for the line trace. Okay, so it's why when we click the laser here to turn it on, we have the line trace activated here. So by doing that, we're gonna go and have our line trace, and then when it's off, it's gonna be false here. It's mean that the line trace won't be activated down below here. Okay, and even begin play, obviously we're gonna put a comment on that as well. And this is just setting our laser pointer to no visibility at the start. Okay, so I'm gonna write that, if I'm able to go in the box. Perfect. So it set the laser pointer to visibility no at the start. We do it manually here, but technically you could always click on your Niagara system here and visibility, and you could deactivate it from here. Okay, so on the flashlight, we did it that way, and this one is just another way of deactivating that laser from the start. Okay, so we're gonna compile. We're gonna go back to our main menu here. We're gonna go to our control mapping. I'm gonna create a new action input. So we're gonna go input and action, and we're gonna call that IA. I don't know, every time I want to click in the box, it's not clicking in the box. It's confusing. Right click, rename, IA underscore, and then we're going to call that our laser pointer, laser pointer, and I'm gonna open it. So the description under laser pointer, well, it's gonna be exactly the same. So we're gonna call that a laser pointer as well. So laser pointer. You don't have to put anything there, but I do like to put some stuff, and we're gonna leave everything as default. We're gonna save, and we can exit now. We're gonna go back to our input action, or mapping control, I should say. I'm gonna press on the plus, And we're going to search for that new action we created, which is our laser. Where it is, laser pointer. There we go. We're gonna expand this. The key that we're gonna put, I'm gonna put J because it's what, or G, sorry. I'm gonna put G, what I said I will put in the code here. The trigger will be like the flashlight. It's gonna be a press. There we go. So now when we press, it's gonna activate and deactivate that laser pointer, okay? So obviously you can put those control, you can create another control by clicking here for the controller that you want to put. Okay, you can put another action and just repeat the same thing. Okay, so we're gonna save and go back to our main menu. So we're gonna go to our player here as we did previously. We had our flashlight, so we're gonna make sure that we add that child again. Okay, that child actor. We're gonna call that our laser pointer, and we're going to compile, and now we're going to select on the child actor class in the detail panel, search for our laser, and now we can select our laser pointer. Now as you can see, now it's there. Now we can adjust that laser where we want it. For example, right here should be good enough. Compile, gonna go to the event graph, and remember we have our flashlight here that we activate, so we're gonna do exactly the same, but this time it's gonna be for our laser. So we're gonna search for IA, and we're gonna search for the laser. We're gonna take that one here. We can expand or not expand, it's no big deal. We're gonna search for B, or branch, I mean. Make sure that our player is not dead. And now we have to create a reference as we did before. So we're gonna go all the way up where we put it, our reference for our flashlight. We're just gonna copy that, put it right there. We're going to select our laser, and we're going to promote that to a variable. We're going to take that and change as laser pointer. Gonna make sure that it's in the ref category here, so it's a little bit more organized here on the side. Now we can go all the way back to our controls, and now we can take that reference for our laser, get laser. Now we should have access to that laser pointer inside our actor for the laser, and this will be the same. It's it, the player is not dead. We're going to be able to activate our laser. So compile that. We'll go see if it's worked. Play. J, we have our laser, we have our gun, we have our flashlight. So we have the flashlight, and we have the laser as well. Okay? We still have to fix the collision issue here with the ball. Something that I did wrong. You might not have that problem yet. So I will try to figure out why I have that and just do a little quick video in case you have the same issue. So we have our laser working. So I will catch you on the next one.